what's up? A fried chicken sandwich is probably my favorite sandwich of all time, besides a cheeseburger, which is also a sandwich. Today, I'm gonna show you how to make every part of what I would consider to be a perfect fried chicken sandwich. We're gonna make a new and improved version of my classic potato roll. We're gonna crisp the chicken, and of course, we're gonna make a tangy, zippy buttermilk dressing, all in the pursuit of making something that is so much better than anything you can get from the drive-thru.
To get started on the potato bun for this sandwich, I'm gonna grab my stand mixer, and into the bowl of that, measure 125 grams of warm water, 3 grams of yeast, 45 grams of melted butter, and of course, 75 grams of potatoes. To make these, I took 2 fully peeled Yukon Gold potatoes and wrapped them in a double layer of foil. I loaded them into a hot oven and baked them for about 1 hour or until they are completely tender throughout and can be mashed up with no effort. From there, I recommend using a potato ricer to get them into a bun-friendly texture. And that's that. Let these cool off to around room temperature before you mix them in. Behind that goes 35 grams of sugar, 300 grams of all-purpose flour, mine is 11.7% protein, and then 5 grams of salt. The dough hook attachment's gonna go on, and now I'm gonna mix this on low speed for 3 minutes or so, or until everything in this bowl is well combined. From there, the mixer's gonna go up to medium-high speed, and I'm gonna continue to mix this for an additional 5 to 6 minutes. And I wanna mention, this is a 2.0 version of the potato roll from the chicken salad video. I made that 1.0 version hundreds of times in the restaurant, and it served me very well. But I wanted to see if I could take the squishiness of this bun to the next level, so I upped the amount of butter and took out the eggs, and as you're gonna see later in this video, it worked. After 6 minutes of mixing on a high speed, this dough should be well developed and quite strong. When you have a dough with this much butter and potato in it, it takes a little bit of extra work to get it fully strengthened in the bowl. So make sure yours survives a solid pull and tug like this one. It shouldn't shear or tear apart. Now the lid's gonna go on, and I'm gonna let this ferment at room temperature for 90 minutes. While that rises, we need to take our first step towards fried chicken. Meat-wise, I've chosen to go with the indestructible chicken thigh for this sandwich because it's basically impossible to dry out and it has tons of chicken flavor. I'm gonna remove any random chunk of skin or excessive fat real quick before I get started, as that won't be great to snap into when we fry this later on. And then I'm gonna season these with some salt. I tried a few methods to get these properly seasoned. I marinated them in buttermilk, I brined them in a water salt solution, and both were not as good as just simply hitting them with salt and letting them cure. Once these are seasoned with salt on both sides like this, I'm gonna throw them into the fridge and let them cure up for 2 hours. Back to the bun dough. This thing's been rising for about 90 minutes, and as you can see, it hasn't grown much, but it's visibly gassy, and that's exactly what we're looking for. The enrichments that we added earlier in the form of sugar, butter, and potatoes always keep a dough like this from doubling in size. To shape these into buns, I'm gonna hit my cutting board with just a whisper of flour and then flip out my dough. I'm gonna also grab my gram scale to make sure that these are all the same size, and then using my dough card, I'm gonna divide these into roughly 6 100-gram size pieces. To proof these, I'm gonna grab a sheet tray lined with parchment paper. I'm gonna hit that with a drip of oil, spread that edge to edge. Now, to get these into tidy little buns, I like to fold the sides in real quick for a more evenly shaped starting point. Then I'm gonna flip it over and use the tips of my fingers and the palm of my hand to roll and tuck the dough. As you can see, the top's getting stretched more taut, while the bottom is getting rolled under and turned into a tight little seam that kind of looks like a butthole. There we go. It's strong and bouncy, and it looks very good. Once I have 6 of these things rolled up tight and evenly spaced on a sheet tray, I'm going to cover them with another sheet tray turned upside down and proof them on the counter for 45 minutes to an hour, and just make sure that it's warm in your place. These will go pretty slow if your house is cold. After that 45 minutes, these little bun BBs have more than doubled. The dough looks soft but strong, and when I give them a poke, they bounce back just a little bit. Before we bake these, I'm going to hit these liberally with some egg wash. That's going to make the tops nice and shiny, and to make that egg wash, it's just 1 whole egg and about 2 teaspoons of water stirred up, and then I'm going to gently and thoroughly brush this all over the buns. Once all 6 buns are covered in eggs, I'm going to load them into a preheated 400-degree oven. And I say it often, but bake these dark, you guys. I've seen some beautiful but underbaked items out on Instagram lately, and don't be shy is all I'm saying. Bake it dark. After about 15 minutes at a 400-degree oven or 204 degrees Celsius, these potato rolls are fully baked and they smell very good. Version 2.0, like I said, is so squishy and tender and just a little bit sweet. Now I'm gonna set these off to the side to cool just a little bit while we get everything else for this sandwich sorted out. Next up, I need to grab some buttermilk. This is one of my all-time favorite ingredients. It has it all. It's tangy, it's tart, and it's overall just really fun, in my opinion. Now to turn this buttermilk into sandwich-ready ranch dressing into a hide-sided container, I'm gonna measure 75 grams of buttermilk, 60 grams of sour cream, 1 yolk, from an egg, 15 grams of lemon juice, a half of a peeled garlic, 25 grams of shallots rinsed under cold water to take that edge off, 5 grams of salt, and also grab 300 grams of neutral oil like canola or vegetable oil, and even a light colored non-extra virgin olive oil will work. Now I'm going to spin everything up to combine with my immersion blender real quick, and then working slowly at first, I'm going to start to drizzle in that oil while the blender is still spinning. This dressing, by the way, is not just for sandwiches. Feel free to dunk a carrot stick in there if you're feeling healthy, or a pizza crust if you like pizza. Once the oil is fully spun in, we're going to take a quick look. As you can see, it's still a little bit saucy, and it's definitely not as thick as plain mayo. That's going to be perfect for this sandwich. One last move to make this sauce incredibly professional. I'm going to mince roughly 10 grams each of fresh chives and fresh dill and run my knife through them a few times. And once we got those minced, in that goes. We're going to stir it up, and wow, beautiful, tangy, zippy, herbal ranch dressing. The lid's going to go on and into the fridge until we're ready for our sandwich. 2 more quick shout outs that are garnish related before we finish off this chicken. First, make sure to have some iceberg lettuce at the ready, and make sure that it's properly shredded, like as finely as you can, razor thin shredded lettuce. Second, we need some sliced dill pickles. These are Clausen brands because they're nice and snappy, and I am slicing them relatively thick, but we don't just need to stick to dill pickles here. A simple bread and butter pickle chip on a fried chicken sandwich is a cheap thrill that is also very worthy of our consideration. Okay, chicken time. To make the breading for this chicken, I'm going to keep it relatively simple. So into the bowl goes 280 grams of all-purpose flour, 5 grams of salt, 5 grams of black pepper, 6 grams of garlic powder, 6 grams of onion powder, 3 grams of baking soda, 5 grams of paprika, and 35 grams of cayenne pepper, but that's kind of up to you depending on how crazy you're looking to get tonight. I'm going to whisk that up to combine real quick, and now I'm going to grab the chicken thighs from the refrigerator, and they've been curing for about 2 hours. They're well seasoned now and ready to rip. The setup to get these breaded is very simple. I've got some plain buttermilk and some plain all-purpose flour here at the ready, and of course our seasoned flour. Last step is to add some buttermilk into that seasoned flour, probably about a 1/4 cup. I'm going to whisk that up to combine real quick, and adding this moisture is essential for success. Now we have plenty of craggy pebbles ready to stick to the chicken and create at least a 2x improvement on crunchiness. Now the chicken goes into the flour first. That's so the buttermilk doesn't just run off the flesh. Then it goes into the buttermilk. Behind that, we're going to throw it into the seasoned flour crags that we just made, toss it up to coat, fluff it up, sprinkle it on top, whatever you need to do to get proper coverage. Once it's looking well coated, we're going to shake that off a little bit and then throw it back on the sheet tray with the rest of the crew. I'm going to repeat that flour, buttermilk, seasoned flour routine for the rest of these thighs. And once these are covered, I'm going to grab my ratty old Dutch oven and get this thing rolling on the stove. In goes about 2 quarts of neutral oil, and once the oil is in the pot, I'm going to turn the burner down to medium heat. It's just much safer to heat large volumes of oil slower like this. And once the oil in this pot is heated to about 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 170 degrees Celsius, in goes my chicken. And you'll notice I'm laying these away from myself to prevent a splash situation. Chef Bry is an advocate for home oil safety, and if you have kids running around, make sure they're in their playpens or in their bunk beds or whatever, because Brian cares about the kids, guys. Now I'm cooking 2 chicken pieces at a time. You can go for up to 4 if you like, but 4 looks kind of bad on camera and it will probably cool the oil down a little bit too much. So 2 it is for me. After 30 seconds or so, I like to gently move these chickens in there to make sure that there's no stickage to each other or the bottom of the pot. After about 6 minutes or so in the oil, these are looking deeply golden brown, and now I'm going to scoop them out carefully with my spider and set them on my wire rack to drain while I drop the next round of thighs. Let's take a closer look at this finished chicken though. As you can see, these are perfectly coated with just the right amount of crispy breading. It's just enough to complement that rich, juicy chicken thigh in there. Now, to make a fried chicken sandwich, of course, we need to start with the bun. I'm going to grab one of these squishy potato rolls, cut it in half, and then fry it cut side down in a little bit of butter until it's golden brown and just a little crisp like this. Quick mention, feel free to buy a high quality soft brioche from the grocery store and just make the chicken and the sauce. This brand of buns or something close to it is available at most grocery stores, and I highly recommend it. These worked really great for the smash burgers. A lot of you guys gave me great feedback on that recipe, and it will make a great chicken sandwich. I highly recommend it. Back to the sandwich. I like to start with just a hit of plain mayo on the bottom. This acts as sandwich glue, but also mayo and fried chicken reminds me of Wendy's crispy chicken sandwich, and that thing's an absolute legend. Next down is pickles, shingled with care, and then on top of those, of course, is the fried chicken, and this thing is already looking insane. Now, a strong dollop of buttermilk ranch, maybe 3 tablespoons or so, a lot basically, and then finally, some cold, crispy, shredded iceberg lettuce. The top bun gets a little bit more sandwich glue, and now I'm going to give it a little squish. As you can see, at home, we can make something super special and unique that absolutely dwarfs anything that we have to go wait in line for or get from a drive-thru. It's incredibly special. I'm so excited. Let's eat this thing.
Before we get out of here, I just want to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports this channel on Ko-fi. And if you guys like this video, please give it a like. Let me know down in the comments what you think about this sandwich. What is your favorite chicken sandwich? Where do you get it? How do you make it? I want to know. As always, guys, thank you so much for your time and attention. Thank you for sticking around to the end, and we'll see you next time.